Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beginnings, the show that asks, where do creative people come from? My name is Andy. I'm the host of the show and a writer and performer based in Los Angeles, California. What's going on, folks? I'm recording this intro. It's about 11 p.m. the night before the episode comes out. So if I'm a little quiet, it's because everyone else in the house, everyone else being Mabel and Naomi, they are sleeping. So if I sound dampened, it is merely out of concern for their circadian rhythms. And it's not a reflection of how depressed I feel about living in the world in 2025. There's still a lot of... Someone asked me about this today, how I am. And let me see if I can find... Oh yeah, I asked a friend how they were doing. And they said, we're doing well, all things considered. And I thought that was a great response. We're doing well, all things considered. We still get to make art. We still get to podcast. I guess some podcasts are art, if you want to include that in there. But anyway, the point is, still kicking in 2025, going into 2026. Still get to talk to very cool artists on this show, like today's guest, Amy Olsner. If you don't know who Amy is, I'm going to read you her bio right now. Originally from Fayetteville, Arkansas, musician Amy Olsner, a.k.a. Amy O, has been recording and releasing albums since 2004. In 2017, she began releasing albums on Windspear with the wonderful Elastic, which was followed up 2 years later by Shell, and then 2024's brilliant Mirror Reflect. Alongside her musical career, in 2019, Amy founded Girls Rock Bloomington, a music and mentorship nonprofit for girls, trans, and non-binary youth that teaches positive self-esteem and self-expression through many events, as well as an annual rock and roll summer camp. So on the show, I end up talking these days to a lot more musical guests. A lot more musical guests than any other art form, because that is the art that I engage with the most on a daily basis. I am a writer. I sit at my computer a lot, writing scripts, staring, thinking about whether I should even bother. But as everything collapses, as every studio is sold to every other studio. But anyway, the point is, I am writing. And so I listen to a lot of music when I write. I live in Los Angeles. I listen to a lot of music when I'm driving around. And I'm fairly clued into a lot of the music that is... a lot of the musical combos that are performing these days. You know, I used to write for Dusted, so I still read Dusted a lot. You know, I check out I read a lot of music blogs. So there's plenty that I know about, but also a lot of publicists will send me albums. And usually I know if an album resonates with me if two things. One, I wake up and it's in my head, or, you know, I'm just wandering around the house doing chores and it suddenly pops in my head and I'm like, oh, okay, this must be really resonating with me. And the other, with Amy's last album, Mirror Reflect, I really liked it. And I realized after over a year, it was still in my rotation of albums that I'm constantly listening to. And I was like, I must really love this album. And then I bought Shell, her album 2 albums ago, and it's also fantastic. And I'm like, I really got to talk to Amy. This was a great talk. She's very thoughtful, very cool, very willing to go on the journey. And we get into a lot of childhood stuff and how it connects to her creativity. A lot of candid talk about making art in a collapsing neoliberal world. We don't phrase it like that necessarily, but how do you keep your integrity? How do you make the things you want and also make a living, or be able to reach a larger audience or make connections with a larger group of people, that kind of stuff. Amy's very cool, and I love her music, so I hope you enjoy this talk. Coming up on the show, we got some more music people. I'm trying to get some other folks from other walks of life, but I got some very cool musicians coming up. Cassie Carlson from Gorilla Toss, I love them. Stephen Brown from Tuxedo Moon, brilliant post-punk band from San Francisco in the 70s. They were there when everything was happening in San Francisco at that time. We talk a lot about that in the art scene, so stay tuned for those. But for now, let's talk to Amy. And hey, have a great holiday. There's something I want to start with that you had said, because we were talking about how, like, nationally everything seems so, at least this is my characterization, I don't want to put this on you. I was saying nationally everything seems dire. And then I think that, and then I was like walking Mabel yesterday, and I just ran into a neighbor that I've never met before, and we started talking, and he was like, oh, how are things going? I go, it's 2025. And he's like, huh? Like, I realized that my doom and gloom mindset that's in my brain may not be everywhere else and in other people. But anyway, we were saying how on the local level, there are still promising things. And I'm curious, because you grew up in Arkansas, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you grow up in Fayetteville, right?
Yeah, Fayetteville.
Right. I looked it up. I was because I couldn't find other biographical information about you. So if I can't find a lot of biographical information about someone, what I do is I go to where they grew up, if I can find that, and then I just like try to like figure out if there's any kind of geographic destiny to their life. And I'm like, Fayetteville, it's pretty big. It's like 90 something thousand people. But it's way farther. Arkansas, in my mind, I'm bad at geography. It's way farther into America than I thought it was.
Oh, like in the middle, you mean?
Yeah.
Or not as south as you thought?
Both. I thought it was, in my mind, it was like where Alabama is or somewhere around there. And no, it's not. You're like verging into the Midwest. And like Fayetteville specifically is in the corner of the state, of the top left, west, I think some might say.
Yes.
This is my question, is what was it like there in terms of like, did you find a welcoming community there when you were growing up, or what was it like?
Oh yeah, it was, I mean, I guess as far as like for me, I'm, white and I'm straight and cis. So it's like, I'm just speaking from that perspective. Like there was a welcoming community. And I felt like even at that time, let's see, it was like, I'm 40. So it was like late 90s, early 2000s of like coming of age there. There was a really amazing like DIY music scene that was very inspirational to me and kind of like how I ended up where I am in a lot of ways. There was this guy who still lives there, Chris Clunk, had a music hall called Clunk. And it was just like all ages music hall. And there were a lot of really good acts that would come through all the time, like way better than you would think. Like Modest Mouse would come through, or just like, and just playing these like kind of small shows. And I would go to them starting when I was like 13. Yeah. And cause it was just a good spot for touring artists who were going across the country. And like, Clunk had developed a good reputation. So like, they were like, oh yeah, it's going to be a good show. Like people will turn out. I think even like people just regionally, cause there wasn't really a lot going on. Like probably even people from like Oklahoma or like, I don't know, other parts of Arkansas would come, like Little Rock people. So I feel very, very lucky that was there when I was growing up. Cause it doesn't exist anymore. And it just kind of like coincided with my coming of age time period. Yeah, so that was awesome. And then
Clunk, sorry, like, can I
oh yeah, go, yeah.
Clunk, CLUNK or KLUNK?
CLUNK.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's all that was in my head.
That's his last name. Well, I think, oh wait, no, that's not his last name. Somehow his last name is Selby, Chris Selby, I believe. But
that's
maybe that was like a nickname.
In like, because I went to college in Pittsburgh and I lived there for a while after college, and you tend to, the promoters that have like a little venue there, like you tend to conflate their existence with that venue.
Yes,
right?
it was exactly it. Like he was Chris Clunk. Like
Yeah, right.
He was the venue. Yeah. And he's just like, he's a great guy. Yeah. And then like my parents were like back to the Lander hippies. Like that's how they ended up in Arkansas. So I was just raised with, kind of this like hippie-ish, like alternative community. We weren't like on a commune or anything, but it was just, those were their friends. And yeah, so it was very like, it was an extremely liberal alternative environment, but just in the South.
Mm-hmm. So where are they from originally?
My mom is from Connecticut, from Orange, Connecticut. And that side of the family is like Jewish, East Coasters. And then my dad is from Kansas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So your mom's a carpetbagger. Where does she meet your dad?
They met at Oberlin College.
Okay.
Which is also where I went.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
This makes now it all makes sense.
It's all coming together. Yeah.
But wait, what makes him go to Arkansas? I mean, I know you said back to the Landers, right? I got that part, but like,
yeah,
the whole like, I don't like. I've said this on the show before, but like, I don't make a move to a place without almost being forced into it. Like, I didn't leave grad school. I was like petrified to do anything to like actually try what I'm doing, entertainment. But how do I put this succinctly? I basically like when I was about to start my dissertation, they were like, hey, write on these topics for your pre-dissertation prelim stuff. And I said, okay. And then I did it. And then I wrote on the stuff I wanted to write on. And then they said, hey, I noticed you didn't follow our directions. Can you redo this? And I go, sure. And then I did what I wanted to do again. And they said, please leave. There's a succinct way of saying it. In my mind, I was like a rebel. In their mind, I was an asshole who would not follow the directions. But what I'm trying to say is like, I either had to like deliberate over something for so long, or I had to like unconsciously engineer
like self-sabotage or something
until I was forced to do the thing I was petrified to do. Right.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
So your parents are like, they like get into this, like, I guess, I'm assuming our parents are somewhere around the same age, since we're somewhere around the same age. So this is 60s into the 70s, and they like decide to move to Arkansas.
Yeah, I think it was like late 70s. They had lived a lot of different places. Like they lived in Oregon, and they lived in like Northampton, Massachusetts, where I also ended up living later. And they lived in Savannah, Georgia, and like Kansas for a while. But anyway, yeah, they just had kind of checked out lots of different places. And then Fayetteville was like one spot that they had heard was actually really cool. And I think they had one or two friends there. And like my mom always tells that they passed through in the winter, and it happened to be like a very rare, like glorious snowstorm when they were there, which doesn't usually happen. But she was like, oh, I guess it snows here. And like, she loves the snow. And they just kind of, I don't know, they just liked it. Like it was cheap, and they wanted to get land, and the community was really nice. And I guess they just picked it. They felt a connection and like had enough places to compare it to. And it is a really great place. Like there's a lot of warmth to the people there. And it's also like a lot of culture, like I don't know. There's something I love, like Bloomington is this way too, like these bastions of, culture, like in these kind of cultureless, like deserts, I guess, of red states.
Yeah. I mean, I'm from Pennsylvania, which is, I guess, purple at this point. Whatever I don't know what it means, but I'm from Reading. There wasn't, I mean, I'm even trying to think of like, was there culture? We had a place like, I wouldn't call this Clunk-esque, but there was a place I think called the Silo. And I remember seeing some band that was on Alternative Tentacles, which is like Jello Biafra's from the Dead Kennedys, his thing. I remember seeing like some bands there, nothing I was like that interested in, but like there was something that was slightly left of the dial, but there was also a bunch of like hardcore bands that were like neo-Nazis. So, we had a little bit of each. There
was probably some of that around Fayetteville too, but I didn't luckily I wasn't exposed to it. But also,
why not?
like,
Why didn't you go? Why didn't you go hang out at neo-Nazi punk shows?
I was leading the like the GSA, like the Gay Straight Alliance in high school, like, and acting in plays and stuff. But I was going to clarify that by culture, I mean, or like lack of culture, I just mean like by people who live there being engaged in art making and creativity in a way that like feeds back into the place.
Right. Yeah. No, I got you. As opposed, like,
Yeah.
you're not saying that people aren't in like culture deserts or whatever. Are not. It's just that there's no outlet for it, or there's no maybe community place where it can go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or also, like, I mean, maybe like, you know, I think a lot about just like how the neoliberal era and the way that it atomizes everyone has like turned everyone into these like tiny islands. And so there's large swaths of America where there is no, maybe there's a desire for connection or a desire for creativity, but it's like buried under this kind of like, well, I'm my own person and I'm just going to sit in my house and watch Everybody Loves Raymond. And that's all I'm going to do.
It's a passive consumption. Yeah.
And that's all you're taught to.
Creating. Yeah, exactly. And that, I feel like with, you know, running like Girls Rock Bloomington, the camp that I run and like after school programs, that's something I feel really passionate about, is like showing people that they can create, especially kids, but at all ages too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask about that? I want to go back to Fayetteville and your parents in a second.
Yeah, totally.
But like, I've been thinking a lot, you know, what I do is very narcissistic, or there's at least a very narcissistic dimension to it. And I feel like because I was raised in a neoliberal America, that's what I was taught to desire. That's what my brain rewards, is doing narcissistic type stuff. I mean, not everything, but like there's a dimension to it. And I think, you know, running a camp where you're helping people, you naturally have to kind of like push your ego down. Mm-hmm. One would. What I want to ask you is, do you have an ego that kind of like pushes out or pushes against that? Or do you think that do you think your ego is satisfied by your own creative output, so that you can be like, you can kind of like fade into the background when it comes to helping others discover their creativity? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's been a really good practice for me. And I've been running it for 7 years now. I started it in 2019, and I think, I mean, it's kind of, there's, in some ways to be honest, it like kind of feeds my ego, because I'm like the face of it, and I get, and like, that's fun, you know, like I get to like do things around town and people know me that way. So it's like, it sort of feeds like that part of my ego. But yeah, it's been really, really good for me, for the part of me that would feel competitive with other artists. And of course, like, I'm not going to feel, you know, competitive with like an 8-year-old kid that I'm working with, hopefully. But, but like, no, I think it's just, I think working with kids and getting them to do songwriting and learn how to play like rock music and their own instruments, I don't know, it just kind of like shows me like the core of like what we're all doing, and helps me see my peers and people that I might be competitive with as just like big kids. And yeah, it just makes me want everyone to do well. And I think also like a lot of ego is sort of rooted in insecurity too, you know, like when you have to like cling to it. And really like a lot of my ego in the past was just around feeling like I wasn't really very good, you know, and then just trying to like cling to like the shreds of any evidence that I could find that would like dissuade me otherwise. So yeah, just like more radical self-acceptance allows me to not be on that plane of even thinking in those terms as much. And that's just something I'm always working on.
Did you get to that point prior to, you said you started the camp in 2019. Did you get to that point prior to starting the camp, or was starting it, working there, having to do all this, writing grant proposals, all that kind of stuff. Was that part and parcel of you getting to that point?
Well, actually, even though we're talking about the camp, a lot of it was tied into becoming a parent because it all happened at the same time. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and like I found out I was pregnant 7 weeks before the first camp that I ran. Wait, sorry. I was 7 weeks pregnant at the time of the first camp that I ran. I found out. Yeah. So it was like, I just found this out, and I was like, and it was on purpose and everything, but it was still surprising. And yeah, so I think that like starting the camp was sort of all part of my like youthful master plan of like how to make my life seem successful to myself and others, like including music. And then like I got pregnant, and then like I had my daughter on March 11th, and like COVID happened.
March 11th, 2020?
Yeah, 2020. And I was like in the hospital, and then like, so I went into the hospital, and things were fairly normal, and then we left March 13th, and it was just like the world was completely different. And it was just a really hard time, obviously, to have that coincide exactly with postpartum, because that's already an insane time for hormones and
sure
and everything. So I feel like that just like kind of just like was an ego death, like as much as it could happen. And then I was like, I knew anyway I was gonna have to take the summer off from organizing the camp and all that. Yeah. So I think just like that was very humbling, and parenting has been so all consuming. And I'm really like, I'm very proud of myself for releasing Mirror Reflect, because it was, it took a lot during that time period it was like me like clinging to my identity and my expression and being like, I'm going to keep this going. And it felt like a bridge. And now I'm in like a much better place where, just kind of through the past 5 years of dealing with like a pretty long recovery period, physically from like my birth, and then also having postpartum depression and anxiety, and that took a while to like resolve. I just feel that all of that, and then developing the nonprofit and everything through that, has like matured me a lot, I guess.
Wait, I want to talk about that for a second, because I was thinking as you were talking, I'm just like, it seems to me, as someone who's not a parent, so, you can tell me, but that becoming a parent is such a, you said ego death. I think you were talking about that entire period in general, but
but becoming a parent too. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a complete shift of your identity, because you have this,
it really is.
This new relationship in your life. This person is, I was going to call an infant a person. I know an infant is, this infant is dependent upon you, right? For existing. And I assume that in itself, this is why I was trying to get it, and I'm being inarticulate, but that in itself is a huge shift. At the same time, you have all this other stuff going on, right? The start of the pandemic was absolutely insane. It's not like things have gotten less insane, but like that was a global shift in a, I don't know about similar, analogous way, let's say, to like your own personal identity shift.
Yeah. Double whammy.
It's just a lot, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. And that, like, I don't know how one's identity doesn't completely change. Mine completely changed through the start of COVID.
Totally. And I've noticed for a lot of people in my life and just people in general, that it's like, it just made people face things, and it kind of accelerated things that needed to be dealt with, like things in the shadows of people's psyche or relationships.
My wife and I have another podcast called Couples Therapy, where we just talk to actors and comedians we like about relationships and mental health and that kind of stuff. And I would say 70% of the guests talk about starting therapy in 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, I had like been with my therapist for quite a few years. And then in 2019, I was like, you know what? I'm doing really well. Like, let's call it. And then I just came like begging her, like on my knees in a few months after my daughter was born. Like, oh my God, emergency. Like, I never should have stopped.
But I guess what I'm driving towards is your relationship with creativity through this period, how it changed. And not just that, but like, I guess I'm curious about your own identity changing through this. But the thing I'm like, again, I'm not being articulate, but I'm trying to get at this, like, what did you want career-wise? What was the desire? That's really what I'm like.
Mm-hmm.
What was the like internal desire that's pushing you?
Yeah.
And then how is that mutated through this entire period?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of complicated in a way because I think that I wasn't even really sure. Like, I thought I wanted to be a musician, like a professional musician, but then even before having my daughter, I was like having some mysterious health issues. Like after putting out some of my studio albums, and it was like disrupting my ability to really pursue it in the way that I thought I wanted. And now in retrospect, I think my body was really like telling me like this isn't really quite. I was trying to pursue it in like a cookie cutter way of like, here's how you do it. And I wasn't like, now I've realized with music that it's like, I just need to do it my own way. Like, I'm not trying to be anybody else. Like, I really am like not trying to follow any sort of model. I just really want to like make music. I love songwriting and it's something I want to like do throughout my whole life and archive my life. And like, and almost it's like about my relationship with myself in a lot of ways. But I also think it's cool to share. And that other people that I can connect with other people through it. But anyway, so like, I want, yeah, I guess that like that was like a reckoning and also sort of an ego death because it was like, oh man, like I wanted to be famous and like get attention. And
well, that's okay. There's where I'm curious about. Was that the desire? Now, obviously, I don't think that's like the principal desire, right? I don't get that from your music. But was that the like I want fame or I want notoriety or something like that? Was that driving part of you?
Well, okay, so I'll go back like to when I was 27, like I had a very close friend die, or we were actually in a relationship for quite a few years, but then like we ended up just being friends and he had this really difficult kind of strange death because he had cancer and like he could have treated it, but he didn't treat it. So it was, I don't know, I was very like involved and it was just a really hard, confusing time. And after he died, I was really trying to figure out like what was, I don't know, if there was any like fire that I had for life, because it's just so depressing like it kind of makes you like lose, like I felt so like attached to him but he was dead, so it made me not feel very attached to life. I didn't want to, like I didn't want to die, but it's just where my energy was, I guess. So yeah, I felt like I guess I've always been a performer and like am an ambitious type person and like to like plan ahead and make goals. And so I was like, this feels sort of embarrassing to admit, but I like felt this fire around like, I want to do music and like, I want to see if I can like be successful with it. And yeah, like see if I could be famous. Like it just seemed, it was like, that feels very interesting. And like, it's like grabbing my attention, but at the same time, it also was extremely necessary as like a cathartic experience, just to write songs and move through grief. And it was kind of like the only way I could figure out how to do it. Yeah. And then also I have this is, I know I'm sort of just going off, but like last year I decided to like take the whole year off performing because I was realizing that I had some kind of deep stuff from my childhood that was like connected to it, that was making me really not, that was making it feel empty for me. And I was like, I really want to re like basically redefine my relationship to performing and like why I do it and have it be joyful again.
Mm-hmm.
And so that now I'm like in this great place where I took a year off and I was like doing all this like therapy and for myself. Like, have you heard of parts work?
I have, yes.
Yeah. So I was like kind of doing my own like parts work. And then I was also just like around like the parts of me that come out through performance and in that setting. And then I was also just like going to a lot of shows again and being an audience member and just regaining like the joy. So I guess my point is that I realized through like the impulse with like starting to do really focus on music from the grief experience, and then also like the ambitious impulse from being a child that was more kind of based around like getting things emotionally that I didn't feel like I was getting met in me. Like over the last years, like I've been like really trying to kind of like parse that out and make sure that why I'm continuing to perform and do music is coming more from like a adult, like grounded and joyful place and not from those places, even though those were like originally propelling me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 questions from this. The first is, when you started you're like, I have some kind of ambition to do this. I want to be successful doing the thing I want to do, right? Not just like, at least it's not what I get from your music. I don't get the idea of you pandering, or I don't get the idea of you selling out.
Mm-hmm.
But were you tempted? Was there, I think a lot of people, if you are honest about the art you make, this is just a generalization, when you butt up against the businessy parts of all this stuff, there's a certain reaction to that. And some people are able to find, some people are able to find purchase in that and still do the thing they want to do. Some people just say, fuck it, I would rather have the money and the notoriety.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are like, well, I'm just going to take a step back because it's just like, it's too gross, or whatever I'm encountering is just not, I feel allergic to it. And I'm kind of curious, like, what started to happen when you started to like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow this kind of like procedure that one is supposed to do to make art in a capitalist society such as ours.
Yeah. I mean, I think that in a sense, I did have that sort of like, I'm allergic to this, but from the perspective of, I think having like not wanting to be controlled by other people. And that was like something that I didn't really understand for a long time. But I think that is why like my body was like giving me symptoms and sort of getting sick. Cause it was just like, my body was like, no, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to lead the way, and we're not doing and yeah, like any sort of industry around entertainment, it's like a lot of like pushing past your body's signals,
Yeah.
I think people expect that a lot, or like just going on tour. It's like all these things are really hard on you physically. And yeah, I think that I just really didn't want to be like controlled by people. Like even just, I've never worked with like a booking manager because the idea of somebody else like working on my schedule, just like, like, no,
I get it.
I can't do it. Yeah.
I get it.
So I think that I really like, the more that have been able to create my life in having control over how my time goes, and just like, I'm also like a very slow processor. And so it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's hard when working with like a team or something. And I'm like, no, I need like a good while. And like, I need to go deep with this, like in myself. And I feel that I can be too easily like manipulated, even though not necessarily because I'm working with bad people, but I just need to really like quiet in on my own needs and process.
Yeah. Well, they have a procedure. They have a thing. You get an
Yeah.
offer for X, Y, or Z, and they're like, "Okay, give us an answer." And you're like,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hold on. Let me figure this out and what the best, I'm
Yeah.
being so vague here, but
No, and it feels like there's so much power on their end and yeah, so much urgency. And I definitely felt very like in a people pleasing mode, to that. And I feel like in a lot of ways that just sort of took away kind of what was interesting about what I was doing. I mean, I think I like all the albums I've put out and I'm proud of all of them, but I don't know. I think it took away my power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the other question I had was, you had mentioned like that performing maybe was filling in some childhood stuff. And I'm kind of curious, whatever you're comfortable sharing, what was it doing for you that maybe if that therapizing yourself? Ugh,
Yeah. I do that all the time. As you can tell.
Yeah. You were able to kind of figure out that stuff. And so you could perform from a more centered, I'm sorry, my vocabulary choice today is just in the pits.
You're doing great.
Thank you. Honestly, thank you. You could perform from a more mentally healthy place. How's that?
Yeah. Wait, so will you go back to the original question?
You can't remember the question from like 10 minutes ago before I started babbling? I'm just curious, like, what was going on when you were a kid where now as an adult, that's like filling in some kind of childhood want or something that was like missing then.
Yeah. I think like having some, family system stuff going on there was some self-absorption and, people like me not feeling very seen and, or like kind of like there was a part of me that just was really craving attention on some level. Yeah. And then, I mean, I did music, but really what I did was like act in plays and I was really serious about that. And it was just like the first time I was in a play, I just remember getting a really big response from the adults in my life. And you can tell as a kid, like when you're really impressing adults. And it was like, oh, okay, I need to like keep chasing that feeling. Like that feels really good. I feel like I'm being taken seriously.
Well, that's the difficulty of being a creative person when it stems from things in childhood, because you have to kind of like pull out. I'm making emotion like I'm pulling string cheese apart, but like you have to pull out what it was just kind of like a Pavlovian response to approval from adults.
Yeah.
And what is something that's comes from you internally.
Yes.
And I don't know if you ever can actually pull those things apart, because there's also like, one of the things that when I talk to people who on the show who are artists, a lot of times it's like I could draw slightly better than my classmates, so I got praised for that, and I just kept going in that direction. And
exactly.
Then you have to ask, like, is this what you wanted to do? Like, maybe you don't even know anymore, or maybe like that's the cauldron the desire formed in. And that's just it. That's the desire. And there is no way to pull it all apart, because it is just all stewed in together.
That's exactly why, so actually right after I released Mirror Reflect, it was extremely inconvenient because I just released an album and I was like, oh shit, like I don't think I want to perform for a year. And which is another reason why it's like good to be kind of just like working on my own because of having little, inconvenient whims like that. But yeah, I'm like very committed to honoring myself, even when it like doesn't, go the way that I think it should. But yeah, I did want to kind of take away performing for a year, because I've just always performed in one way or another my whole life, like, and see who I was without it. And like, yeah, I was just like, oh, did I just start doing this because I got good attention and then it just built from there. And I wanted to, I guess that was my effort at like the string cheese, pulling it apart. Yeah.
What's the first play the like real play? Like I'm not talking about like some like
it was
third grade kids play, but
Alice in Wonderland. I mean, I don't know if that counts, but I guess that was like
what grade?
Fifth grade, but maybe that doesn't count. But
yeah,
then
I'm talking about like Guys and Dolls, that kind of thing. Like when was the first like real kind of like thing?
And the Diary of Anne Frank, and then I got to play Anne Frank, and that was big.
That's a serious one.
Yeah, I know.
They were gonna say Brigadoon or something. Is that what your high school was doing? My high school was still doing like old school plays and musicals. And this is the 90s.
Yeah, we did that stuff too. This was like community theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you graduated from like high school stuff to like community theater. So
yeah, well that was when I was like 14. So yeah, it was in junior high.
Okay. Your parents go to Fayetteville. What are they doing? They buy a plot of land. Like I kind of know a little bit about like back to the land type stuff, but like, what are they doing? Are they like farming? Like, what do they do for a living?
Well, yeah, they just did that part actually for a pretty brief period of time. And then they like moved into town. But they were farming a little, gardening, but they are both therapists. So that explains it all.
Really should have led with that. They're both therapists. Okay. Yeah. Well, this makes more sense. Are you the only child?
No, I have an older brother, and he is also a musician. He was in a lot of bands and was like very influential for me when I was younger.
Okay. It's almost like we go through all this and you're like, oh yeah, my parents were therapists. Oh, my older brother was a musician. I was like, oh, well.
Like, I don't...
it's never fait accompli, right? It's never that. But like, there are certain kinds of things where I'm like, oh, you were kind of nudged in a certain direction.
Oh, yeah. Well, also, my parents are musicians, too. So, yeah, they were like, my dad's a songwriter. So I was always around that. And they both play guitar, and like they were in a band. And my mom runs a women's choir, too.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So at least like, again, you never have to choose the direction that seems like you would, but it feels like this was it felt natural to you.
Yeah, it felt like home to me. Like music has always felt like home. And even though I didn't feel like the best musician and I wasn't like super, technically trained, but it just felt like, yeah, this is my zone. Like, I think some people, I know I have friends who feel like they're not allowed to be in the music sphere, or they just have a lot of imposter syndrome about it. But yeah, I guess I feel grateful that I just always felt like I belonged there.
But if I can complicate this a little bit, when you say it feels like home, you also intimated that when you were younger, you weren't getting the attention that you... Was it like you weren't getting attention? Like your parents had their own
so deep
kind of stuff?
I just put it together.
Well,
because I'm like, what if like music... Like, because when you do music, you feel like you're not getting attention. You're putting out albums and trying to get attention. And it's like, what if I'm chasing that feeling so that I can heal it?
Yeah. Or what if what if like you resist kind of the businessy parts because you're like, well, I want it to feel like like the way I felt when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Well, and I will say that like with the businessy stuff, I actually don't mind a lot of the like self-promotion and that aspect of things, or like the behind the scenes planning. Mm-hmm. Like I know some people are very resistant to like, I don't know, just like kind of like, I don't want to say branding. I don't feel like I'm branding myself, but like I don't mind promoting things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't even really believe in selling out in this day and age.
Interesting.
Yeah. Controversial opinion, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I just think people should like do what they can to do well. I mean, I think they should make like decisions with integrity. And
but that's the opposite of selling out, because selling out is giving up your integrity in order to appeal to a larger audience, which may or may not come.
Yeah. Well, I guess I wouldn't even know how to do that. That would not be possible for me. I don't even know how people know how to like say like, oh, okay, I can write like this niche song, or I can write like a pop song. Like I just like only have what comes out is my only option.
But that's what I think is interesting though. You could have, this is where like, I think everyone finds their level. I'll just, this is an example. I don't think my wife would disapprove of me saying this, but like she's a stand-up. She hates clips. She hates making, she doesn't want, she's like, I didn't get into this to make clips, to literally like sit there and edit. She's like, I don't even know how to edit. I don't know how to, and that's going to limit some stuff for her. Right. I mean, she's wildly successful. This is not like but like there are certain kinds of things where like,
right.
We're like, okay, if you want Instagram followers, you're going to have to make clips. That's just it. You're just going to have to make clips. That's just the kind of thing. And and there's like rules for it where you like have
you're
to like.
Playing the game with like the algorithm. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And, that's first of all, that's not the kind of she's longer bits. She's like, she doesn't do stuff that's like easily like cuttable into like 50-second things. But like there are certain things once you start placing a business cookie cutter over someone's creative output, right? It's going to naturally cut off those, the dough on the other side of it. And then you have to decide, is that dough important? Great metaphor. Is that dough important?
More food.
Is that dough delicious, or can I get rid of that dough? And then is getting rid of that dough, does that hurt my integrity?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more about, does the cookie cutter process like make you hate what you're doing, or can you do it and like be like, this is kind of annoying, but it's okay. Like I still love my art. And I don't know. I feel like the extra dough never goes away on the outside. I don't think it would go away.
But what if that, okay, look, here's an example that I've run into here in Los Angeles is that like, there's just certain things that are going to sell and there's certain things that won't sell. And the stuff that's important to me, I don't think I can write it if I want. No one's stopping me from writing it. No one's stopping me from writing. I can't talk about certain things, but like, I'm fairly left politically. And no one stopped me from writing stuff that has a left-leaning point of view. It just won't sell. It wasn't going to sell during Biden. It's certainly not going to sell now. Okay, well, am I okay if I write something knowing I can't do anything with it in terms of like my career? Or do I just say, okay, well then I'm just going to write, shitty sitcom version 186, which I know probably I could sell and then live off that for the next year or so.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's a matter of like, how do you decide to make your money, And it's like, for me, I just decided I don't want music making to be how I make my money. I'm gonna like be an educator and, a nonprofit director and a community organizer. And that's how I'm going to do it. And then I can just do whatever I want with my art. And there's like not the pressure there. So that's like what I needed to do.
Yeah. But I think that's what I'm curious about was like, were there ever any calls? Like I've talked to plenty of people on the show where like, as they started to like, hey, we're asking you to change this. We're asking you to wear this. We're asking you to do X, Y, or Z. They're just like, that's not why I'm doing this. And so they kind of like back away. And that's what I'm curious about. Was that like,
I never had anything like that come up. No. I mean, I only ever worked with like one label basically, which was Windspear. And they're just they just let you do whatever you want. Just like very like artist directed. And now I just decided recently to start like self-releasing and see how that goes. But it wasn't because they were like being controlling whatsoever.
It's interesting. I think, especially I'm coming from like an indie rock kind of background to then be in Los Angeles where it's very much not.
Yeah.
And to see the kind of like these different ethoses bump up against each other and like what is workable and what isn't workable and what is like worth spending time doing creatively and what isn't worth spending time creatively. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, I think so.
Like if I have to write shitty sitcom 186 and it sells and then I do that for the next year or two,
Gotcha.
Well, that's a year or two I can't do anything meaningful.
Right. That takes away
Yeah.
from like maybe what you really want to be doing.
Or maybe I sell something that I like, but then through the process, it's noted to death.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have enough power to like resist certain notes. And then it becomes neutered and it's not what I want to be doing. And then that's another like
Oh,
year,
God.
right?
Yeah.
Like those are the kind of things that worry me a lot and do limit kind of the stuff that I will try to sell,
Mm-hmm.
because then I'm like, then I also have to, there's like all these other kinds of concerns. And I don't think that's particular to me. I think that's particular to anyone making art in the 21st century, that you have to make these decisions for yourself. What are you comfortable with? And what is integral to the things you make that going through a process of commercialization would ruin?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I just feel like I'm so drawn to basically just going in the opposite direction of commercialization.
That's what I find interesting. Yes, sorry, go on.
Like, cause it's like for my next, I'm working on an EP right now, and it's an EP in part because it's an experiment. So I'm like, I'm just gonna release 4 songs. You know, I feel really solid about all of them. And I just want to see what happens if I kind of go back to what it was like when I was first putting out music, which I would just like record it at home and then like put it up on Bandcamp and like email my friends. I didn't even have social media. And it's going to be a little more than that for sure. But like, I just want to see how I can shape it and how that affects it and its outcome, even without anyone else's influence. I mean, of course, like collaboration is very important and there will be people involved, but without a label's influence and without like a PR person, just seeing like what would it be like?
Were your parents and your brother doing their own thing so much that you weren't getting attention?
Oh, I mean, I got a lot of attention.
So, okay, well then were you like, I need an infinite amount of attention? Like what was, because I feel like maybe I had that and I kind of like pushed that desire down, but like.
No, I think it's like, it's a hard thing to describe. Like it's a subtle thing. I think it was more, it's just on a deeper level. And maybe in some ways it was just me not, I don't know, like it's like with my daughter, like, I can connect with her and then I can go to another level and I can really track what's going on and I can like draw things out of her that she doesn't even necessarily know are going on because I'm not trying to project onto her, but I'm just really like looking out for her and tracking her on a deeper emotional level. And I think sometimes, it's like parents are just trying their best, like
Sure.
It's just back in those days, maybe there weren't as many like resources around that. And so it was more around that of like not always feeling tracked on a deeper emotional level, if that makes sense.
Even though they were therapists.
Yeah. Which can be ironic. I mean, therapists aren't perfect,
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
That's
they're just
also
humans.
interesting, especially in the 90s. And I guess earlier than that, like I don't think about therapists outside of major like New York or LA. Like that seems to me like therapy centrals, those two poles.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what were they doing? Were they like, they had clients like,
They had private practice. Yeah. Yeah. They had clients, just like talk therapy.
Interesting. Sorry. I don't
just 2 therapists married in Arkansas.
I'm not trying to stereotype Arkansas or the South, because I know that the depiction I get from major media is very twisted.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It just it seems strange to me.
Like just imagining that there were
therapists in the 1980s in Fayetteville. That are not, because again, I'm sorry, I'm saying this as someone who grew up in Pennsylvania. Therapy was not a thing. This is the 90s.
Yeah.
You didn't go to therapy. You went to therapy if like something was really fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, so my parents have always been really interested in like self-development. You know what I mean? Like that, I mean, that was part of like the hippie thing and spirituality and like Buddhism. And so it kind of came out of, I think it all tracks, like if you think about it, it's just, Yeah, pretty much everyone I've met outside of Arkansas is always shocked I'm from Arkansas. And almost everyone says, I've never met someone from Arkansas. So it just seems like a place that seems very hard for people to imagine growing up or living.
I got a friend from Hot Springs, so I know Arkansas.
Oh, you already know. Okay.
I know Arkansas. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the Hot Springs he grew up in was terrible and like a derelict town. Like it was definitely in disrepair when he was growing up.
Was it? Yeah.
The thing that I'm trying to track though is, and I don't even know if you can untangle this. Did the desire for attention prefigure the desire to create things?
Oh, good question. So no. Like that's what I discovered in my year off was that I was like, oh wait, no, this is just part of me. Like I love this. And I again going back to like being a parent and how transformative it can be is like every stage that my daughter goes through, like I am sort of revisiting that, in myself. And yeah, I think if you're just, and also just working with kids, it's like when you're around kids, you're like, it's just creating is how kids learn to be humans in the world. I mean, when she's drawing, she's not like doing it for a product. She's just like, she's playing and she's telling a story through creating the images on the page. And it's more like an action rather than some sort of intended result.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that I think every human, the desire to create is always there before.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I guess I can't say, but I just feel like that's just so human nature.
Yeah. I mean, I just try to think about lately I've been thinking about, how like say psychopaths like Trump or like any of those people, Stephen Miller, Bill Clinton, when I hear about his childhood, I'm like, oh, of course. They grew up like kind of unloved, and it unloved led them to seek attention in a negative way.
Yeah.
Right? Versus when I talk to a lot of people on this show where the desire to create in public is more about connection.
Yeah. I think that's true.
And I'm just trying to think of like, I guess this is a larger thing that I've been trying to think through is like, how do you create a society that does not have psychopaths as part outside of like people whose like brains are naturally like genetically formed so that whatever the stuff is that makes you empathetic.
Yeah.
It's not there. Right. You can't do anything
where
about
there's
that.
nothing that can be done about it.
Yeah. So like how do you create a society where, and maybe it is like as simple as like trying to make sure everyone's loved as a child. I don't know how you do that, at least in the world we live in. But like definitely the thing I think of, like a lot of us are trying to connect with other people in various ways through the things we create. And that's the primal desire out that then attention seeking maybe gloms onto.
Yeah, that's the like life affirming, like positive thing at its core. And I totally, and that for me, like when sorry, I keep like referencing back to my year off, but I'm still kind of like freshly enthusiastic about the result of it. Cause it's like when I decided to go back to performing, I realized like, oh, I was just like really stressing way too much about performances and bringing a lot of anxiety into it and thinking I was projecting onto the audience that I needed to impress them and that they were like judging me. And I realized like, if I'm going to go back to doing it, like this is just going to be about actually connecting with people, like recognizing that this is an opportunity and just keeping like the world in perspective and what a nice little thing this is, like to be with people and to be sharing music. And it's not about like no one cares about whether I made a little mistake, like at all. It's just, this is just something we all need, is to gather, and it's a healthy part of, community that keeps us going during like these shitty times.
I mean, I'm still haunted by, I remember my old band, we went on a tour in 2006, and I remember in Pittsburgh, I hit the wrong chord in the middle of one of the songs. Just for a second. Right. I still remember it. I still remember that moment.
Totally. Yeah.
So I don't think anyone else cares. No one else remembers. I don't think
cares.
No one, there isn't.
I don't care at all.
Still cataloged in my brain somewhere. It doesn't have the juice anymore. It doesn't have like I don't like
Right,
sit there
that's
and
good.
imagine it and cringe.
Yeah,
But it stands out when you said that. That's the first thing that popped into my brain.
totally.
Last thing, and I'm kind of curious if this happened earlier, prior to you starting the camp or prior to you becoming a parent, or if it was through that process. But I have like a theory. It's not like a real one, but like I have like a very basic theory on the show that like when you come into your own as an artist, part of that is incorporating that kind of childlike relationship one has with creativity.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
love that.
curious if that happened to you. I'm going to assume it did based on us talking, but like, or maybe you never lost it. I mean, there's plenty of people who like grow up in a way that they never lose it. And I'm just kind of curious, what was that like for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in some ways I kind of never lost it in that well, in some ways, I'm not going to say it all, but I've always been being creative and like songwriting and making music or even drawing or whatever I've always felt like this very kind of free flowing access to it. Like I don't have a lot of like drama with like the act of creation. So in that way it was there. But I think in terms of the sharing of it, that's where it really got worn down in me. And that's what I feel like I've been really like repairing and like with this next EP I'm doing, it's like I'm trying to just find that like childhood joy around sharing your art.
When you say trying, because all this stuff around like actual active verbs always intrigues me, because when I'm writing a song or something or writing a script or whatever like that, let's just say I've been working on a song. I mean, I'm just kind of like fucking around with chords. Like there is no like intention other than like I have an idea for a song and I'm like trying to figure out like what's the right thing that fits me. When you say trying, like what does it actually entail when you're making something?
Wait, what do you mean like trying?
Like, because I'm not a professional musician, so like for you who like does this for real, like when you have like an intention, like you're like I'm trying to have more of that in my music, or like what does that actually mean?
Well,
like,
actually, I'm glad you pointed that out, because like what it actually means when I say like I'm trying to access more of that childlike joy with sharing, what I've been doing has like my total motto around it has just been like think less. I'm just really thinking less. I'm putting way less thought into the process.
I love that. Okay. Yeah, no, that's great. Because once
so it's
you're
like
already
the opposite of trying. Yeah.
Yeah. Because once you're already like a good musician, like at that point, it's just like there's instincts. And then what you're trying to do, I think this is what I really love about what you said, like, is that, well, then you're just trying to like kind of like push away these other voices or things in your head or pressures or whatever, just to get back to that. Yeah. Kind of. And so the trying is actually just like, hey, the other thoughts that are in my brain, I'm going to push them away in some, whatever. Again, it's
exactly. And it's just like, just put less energy into it. Like this is supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I do want to do this. Like I tried like not doing it and I was like, no, I really want to do it. So like, let's make it fun. And I kind of like made a promise with myself to do that.
That's great. What a great place to end. Yeah. Amy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. This was so nice.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, oh, bye, oh, bye, oh, bye, oh, bye.